So hello and welcome. I'm Frederick Dunn and this is The Way to Be. What I'd like to encourage you to do is look at your landing boards at sunrise. Even though this picture looks bright, it's actually very cold on this morning, August the 29th. And this gives an advantage to yellow jacket wasps. Now, I want you to pay attention to what's going on this landing board, and I want you to tell me what you think is happening. And then in a few minutes, I'll tell you what's happening. So, cold weather. This is an advantage for wasps, particularly if it drops into the high 30s or low 40s in Fahrenheit, because honeybees can't fly at those temperatures. And I think I just talked over it. You hear that little beep, that little ee sound is your worker honeybees warming up the thorax because they can't fly. They can't adequately defend their hive when it's cold. So they need to warm their thorax muscles by vibrating them and get that thorax up into the 80s. And once they do that, then they can fly around and give these yellow jacket wasps a little bit of what for? Give them what's going on. Now, I know this looks like a grisly scene. And why wouldn't it? I mean, it looks bad because they're eating bees. So first of all, let's talk about the yellow jackets. I'm getting some pushback, by the way, on my treatment of the yellow jackets. And I just want to show you that sometimes things are not always what they seem. And yellow jackets have these mandibles, first of all, that can cut flesh. Look at that. It's biting right into the abdomen of a honeybee. Now, it's also interesting to know that these wasps can't even eat what they're cutting up here. So what are they doing? Well, they're gathering animal protein, and they're going to take it back to their nest. And then you might be thinking, Fred, get out there, find the nest, and kill these things. They're wreaking havoc on your honeybee hive. Well, they are putting pressure on the honeybee hives. And as I mentioned before, when the weather's cold, they can actually get in through the entrance before the bees have broken cluster and can adequately defend their entrance. Look at that, this guard bee right there. See, she woke up. She's out there taking care of business and running off the yellow jackets. And the other thing is, I've always been told, and I've frequently recycled, that the yellow jackets go for the thorax. So if we look at this bee right here, head, thorax, abdomen. Now that it's flipped over, we can see that this particular honeybee has genitals sticking out. Sorry for the graphic depiction here. But that's a male honeybee, so that's a drone. Now the other interesting part for me here is when we sit and stare at these things, and I stare at bees at length, look at the piece of this drone male honeybee that this wasp is going after. I'm thinking, I don't know, maybe it's a zombie because it's after the brain, it's after the head. It's going to let that big juicy thorax and abdomen just fall to the ground. So the other thing is, look at the abdomen of the wasp. They have these little spots on them. There are very distinctive identifiers with the markings on the wasps. And we should be able to tell which ones are queens, workers. They're making drones this time of year too. So they have their own male wasps. They will be making their own queens. And this head, apparently, is going to go back to the wasp nest, get chewed up a little more, and then get consumed by yellow jacket wasp larvae. And so we look at this landing board and we see that's all strewn, and we think, oh man, this is the aftermath of a major conflagration. They must have had a huge battle with yellow jackets, and that's why there's dead bees strewn everywhere. But as you start to look closer, these aren't just any dead bees. 9 out of 10 of them are drones. They're all males. So we had this cold snap recently, and the first bees to stop getting fed inside a hive when there's a lack of resources or when the temperatures turn and they need to preserve worker brood, which is what our honeybees do. They focus on worker brood because that's the future. Drones are always surplus. So when we see a bunch of male honeybees, drones, flying around, we know that whatever colony generated those is doing really well. So this colony had to draw back on its resources and had to stop feeding something inside the hive. So some of these drones are at the emergence state or just before emerging from their cells, and the bees pull them out and toss them. They look very small, by the way, so they look undernourished. The other thing is, even the drones that are inside the hive at a time like this, they need to move on and go to another hive that's more generous, because this colony just stopped feeding them and they died. So now let's put a twist on it. The yellow jacket wasps, are they a pest to this colony, or are they helping them clean up this mess? Now, wasps are a cleanup crew. When we talk about the environment overall, if there's a dead animal somewhere, you'll find wasps chewing apart the flesh and taking it back to feed their young. So they're kind of recyclers. And I would like to suggest, maybe in this case, while we're looking at the landing board, they're actually helping the undertaker bees, because the undertaker bees overnight, see, that's why it's important in the morning, overnight they drag them out and deposit them on the landing board, and then during the day these undertaker bees will pass it on, and other worker honeybees, which are all female, will take the bodies and fly away with them. It takes a lot of effort for them to do that. Sometimes they get rid of bees that aren't even completely dead. You'll see drones being dragged out with their feet still moving, with their antennae, trying to get the attention of the worker that's trying to discard them, trying to be fed. And it doesn't happen, and they end up with their tongue stuck out. Now see the length of the tongue there? See how long that is? Those are workers. Drones don't have tongues that long. So there are also some workers that may have died inside the hive overnight, and they get dragged out on the landing board also. Although most workers, being female, self-evict. Now, I didn't get to see what happened to this yellow jacket, but you can get a good look at the mandibles here. Look at how aggressive they are. Those are meat-cutting mandibles. This is also why wasps are dirtier than honeybees, because they feed on dead animals. There's a lot more germs on a wasp. So this worker is just trying to get rid of the trash, trying to drag it off, but this wasp, even in its passing, has managed to hang on to the leading edge of the landing board. So I think actually, these wasps have done a service to this colony of honeybees by cleaning away some of the drones. Look, there's one right here, still trying to get the head off. There's another one going after an abdomen. And they can be picky. They're going through it all. It's kind of like a flea market of cast-offs. They're just going to go around and get what they need and fly away with it. And I know, I get it. This frustrates people. Why am I not taking a hive tool and smashing the life out of all of these wasps? Well, I have ulterior motives, as always. I'm tracking their nests. I'm paying attention to them. We've got them out in the woods. I like to see where they go. And when they're carrying a big piece of meat, like the abdomen there, and they fly off, they fly a little slower, they look a little bigger, and they're easier to spot. And then we just see where most of them fly, and we look around to see where the nest might be, and then we can observe the nest. So are these yellow jackets damaging this honeybee hive? I say they're not. I say they're helping, and they're cleaning things up. And if I had been like most people and not gotten out of my house and come out to look at my hives until it were 8 or 9 in the morning and the sun was up and it was warm, I wouldn't see any of this. Sure, I'd see the odd dead bee on the landing board, but we wouldn't see how many wasps are really coming around and hauling away this residue from a colony of bees. Because your bees, when they grab the bits and pieces, they fly them off the landing board and they zip off into the environment. That's why in a healthy colony, you won't see a pile of dead bees right in front of the landing board, because they don't just drop them there. When they take them off the landing board, they fly them well away. And when a honeybee has to carry a drone, that's the heaviest bee in the hive. It's a lot of work. So, look at this little trash collector helping the honeybees get rid of their dead. And that's a worker honeybee thorax and head right there. And of course, this bee's walking around. Who's tougher, the wasp or the honeybee? Well, this guard bee is pretty much in charge. She's pretty confident. She marches around and chases off anything she wants. I don't know if you've ever seen bees and wasps at open feed situations, but the honeybees prevail. They're in charge of everything by pure numbers alone. Now their little mandibles are just designed to do work like shaping beeswax. Maybe they're scraping a landing board to smooth it out, doing what's called washboarding. Look at this worker. Look how hard she has to pull at this drone to get rid of it. And then we hear her buzzing off into the grass just about 10 feet away. Now look at what's going on here. It's warmer. The sun is up. There's more guards on deck. It doesn't mean the yellow jackets aren't trying to get in. They are. Because now the yellow jackets that are visiting the beehive are after nectar. They want to get in there and rob these bees of their hard-earned honey. And they're not having it. They're warmed up now. This colony is full strength. They are ready to go. And what you're going to see at the end of this is today's video, which is September the 3rd. So at the beginning it was August the 29th, which was a nice cold day. And your bees aren't going to waste their time chasing after a trash collector like this little yellow jacket, but they are going to defend their colony. They are going to defend the entrance, and they're not going to put up with it. This time of year, very important to have a small, defendable entrance on your beehive here in the northeastern part of the United States, the northwestern part of the state of Pennsylvania. And upper entrances and things like that might be great for helping to dehydrate the honey. Not great because your bees now have to deploy more guards and engage them in defending the colony when they could be doing other jobs. So here we are. That entrance is 3/8 of an inch high, 3 inches wide. Yellow jackets aren't getting in. And I know what some of you are thinking, that I normally show super slow motion sequences. Wouldn't it be cool to see these bees actually fighting off yellow jackets in super slow motion? Because it is kind of dramatic. And what if, while we did the super slow motion, I don't know, we dropped in some overly unnecessarily dramatic music? I'm going to do that for you because you need to see it. Because what's happening here when they touch with these guard bees on deck, it looks like a very brief skirmish, but there's quite a lot going on. And they are functioning in an amazing way at a very high speed. So the sequences you're about to watch occur in just a matter of seconds. So sit back and watch the honeybees keep yellow jacket wasps out of their small entrance. So what was more fun than watching a bunch of honeybees repel boarders at their own hive? So these are the bees today, September the 3rd. Life is good. No more yellow jackets dare even try to get in. They're bringing in pollen, nectar, resources, and guess what else they've done? They've produced large, healthy drones, and they're feeding them. Look, there's one right there. How happy is it to be that drone? He's not dead on the landing board. He's not being dispatched by a visiting wasp. He's fed and cared for. So I want to thank you for watching. I hope you learned something. When you look at dead bees on a landing board being visited by wasps, it might not be all bad.